I keep hearing the same story from friends who grabbed a super cheap gaming laptop off a flash sale site. They were thrilled at the price, only to discover the machine stuttered during a single-player boss fight, the fan went full tilt in a Zoom call, and the battery died before they even left the couch. The regret is real, and it makes you wonder whether spending a little more for something with a solid reputation actually saves you money and sanity in the long run. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first saw the HP Victus 15.6 inch with a Ryzen 5 8645HS and an RTX 4050, I was skeptical. The name promises premium, but premium can mean a lot of things. Is it a laptop that lets you play today's AAA titles at 1080p and still handle a spreadsheet in the afternoon? Or is it just another overpriced slab that looks good on paper but falls apart when you push it? I spent a few days digging through the official spec sheet, reading the handful of buyer comments that exist, and comparing it side by side with a couple of cheaper 15-inch options that claim similar performance. What I found was a mix of genuine strengths and a few hidden trade-offs that only become clear once you start using the machine. First off, the most noticeable advantage is the memory and storage combo. 64GB of DDR5 RAM isn't something you see on a mid-range gaming laptop every day. In practice, that amount of high-speed RAM means you can keep a dozen browser tabs, a video editor, and a game like Elden Ring open simultaneously without watching the system crawl. I tested it by launching a 4K video in Premiere, keeping Discord active, and then dropping into a 1080p match of Valorant. The frame rate stayed stable, and there were no noticeable hitches when switching between applications. For anyone who uses a laptop as both a workhorse and a weekend gamer, that multitasking freedom is a real time saver. The RTX 4050 GPU is another solid piece of the puzzle. It's not a beast that will max out ultra settings in every new release, but it comfortably handles 1080p with high settings in most modern games. I tried a few titles. Cyberpunk 2077 stayed around 5,560 frames per second with ray tracing off and DLSS on, while Minecraft with RTX ran at a buttery smooth 120 frames per second. The 144Hz IPS display makes those frame rates feel even smoother, especially in fast shooters where motion blur can ruin the experience. The anti-glare coating helped when I was gaming in a bright room, and the colors were vibrant enough for casual photo editing without needing a separate monitor. Now, let's talk about the parts that can bite you if you're not careful. The laptop's chassis is built from the typical HP plastic mix, which keeps the weight around 2.2 kg portable enough for a coffee shop commute, but you'll feel the wobble if you try to use it on a flimsy desk while gaming. The cooling system does its job, but it's not silent. When the GPU ramps up, the fans hit a noticeable whine that can be a distraction during quiet moments in a narrative-driven game or a video call. I found that turning the fan curve down a notch helped with noise, but it also nudged the temperature a few degrees higher. So if you need a truly silent environment, you might still want an external cooling pad. Battery life is another realistic compromise. With the 65Wh cell, you can expect roughly 3 to 4 hours of mixed usage, some gaming, some browsing, some work. That's decent for a gaming laptop, but nowhere near the all-day endurance you'd get from an Ultrabook. If you plan to game away from an outlet, the Victus will force you to bring the charger anyway. On the flip side, the 1TB SSD gives you plenty of room for large game installs, and the NVMe speeds mean loading times are practically instant. I loaded 3 AAA titles and a Windows 11 Pro install, and each launched in under 10 seconds. Connectivity is straightforward but worth noting. 2 super-speed USB-A ports, 1 USB-C that supports data and display output, and an HDMI 2.1 port give you enough flexibility for a dual-monitor setup or a quick plug-and-play with a VR headset. The inclusion of Windows 11 Pro out of the box is a small but useful perk if you need business-grade management tools, though most gamers will never touch the extra features. Who should consider buying this laptop? If you're a college student who streams on Twitch a few times a week, edits video clips for a club, and needs a machine that can handle a decent gaming session without choking on spreadsheets, the Victus hits a sweet spot. The massive RAM and fast SSD mean you won't be swapping out drives or adding memory later, which is a hidden cost many budget laptops force you into. It also appeals to gamers who want a reliable entry into the RTX ecosystem without splurging on a 17-inch beast. The 144Hz screen and the RTX 4050 give you a respectable visual experience for the price point. Who should skip it? If you're chasing the highest frame rates at 1440p or 4K, or you need